All right, let's talk about a really powerful SQL feature that can make your database work cleaner, safer, and a whole lot more flexible. It's a tool that's often a bit misunderstood, but trust me, it can totally change how you manage your data.
You know the feeling, right? If you've ever worked with a relational database, you've been there. You spend all this time perfecting some massive query, the one with a ton of joins and complex logic, and then you have to use it over and over and over again. It's just clunky, it's repetitive, and honestly, it's a real pain to maintain. But what if there was a better way?
Well, you're in luck because there is, and it's called an SQL view. Think of it as the ultimate shortcut for your database queries. It's about to become one of your favorite tools, I promise. So, what exactly is a view? Well, to put it simply, it's a virtual table. And that word virtual is the most important part. It's not a physical table that actually stores any data on its own. Instead, a view is just a saved query that you've given a name to. And here's the cool part. You can interact with it just like any other table.
And this is the point that you really have to get. A view is an abstraction layer. It's like a window into your data. When you query the view, the database engine just runs that saved query in the background and gives you the results. It's a really simple idea, but it has some incredibly powerful implications. Okay, so now that we know what a view is, let's dive into where it really shines, simplifying all that complexity and, just as importantly, securing our data. It really all comes down to two massive benefits, making things simpler and making things more secure. Let's see exactly how views pull this off. This, right here, is the magic of views in action. Look at the left. That's the messy, complex join you have to write every single time. Now on the right, that's all you need after you've bundled all that logic into a view. You just run a simple select from your new artist sales view. All that complexity is just tucked away, hidden from sight, making your code so much cleaner and easier to read. So yeah, beyond just cleaning up your syntax, views let you present computed data, like a calculated profit, as if it were just another column in a table. But even more critically, they are an absolute cornerstone of security. You can create a view that deliberately hides sensitive columns, like salaries or personal info, or maybe filters out rows so users can only see the data they are actually authorized to see. But the power of views doesn't stop with just simplification. We can actually build on top of them, layering them to create these really modular and robust database designs. You can literally layer views on top of one another. For example, you could create one base view that handles all the messy joins from your raw data tables. Then, you can build a second view on top of that first one to create, say, high-level summaries. It's kind of like building with Legos. Each view becomes a reusable block in your design.
And this layering gives us something that is absolutely critical in software engineering: isolation, or abstraction. Just imagine your application code is querying a view. Now, what happens if you need to rename a column in one of the base tables? Well, instead of having to go and rewrite every single application query, you just update the view definition once. Your application is completely shielded from the change. It is a total lifesaver for maintenance.
This layering is also key to database security. You can grant different permissions to different views. So for instance, an analyst might get read-only access to that high-level sales summary view we talked about, while a data entry clerk gets update access to a totally separate view that only shows specific customer fields. They're both interacting with the same underlying data, but through completely different secure windows. Okay, so views are clearly amazing for reading data. But what about writing data? Can you actually change data through a view? This is where things get a little bit tricky, and it's really crucial to understand the limitations.
So, here's the big question. Can you actually modify data through a view? The answer is sometimes, and it depends entirely on how that view was built in the first place.
A view is only updatable if the database can clearly and unambiguously trace any change back to a single row in a single underlying table. So, if your view uses things like aggregations with group I, or it has computed columns, or complex joins across multiple tables, it's almost always going to be read-only. And that makes perfect sense, right? If you tried to update an aggregated sales total, how could the database possibly know which individual sales records to change? It can't guess.
So, let's bring it all together. SQL views are not just some nice-to-have feature. They are an absolutely essential tool for any database designer. They provide that powerful layer of abstraction that simplifies complexity, seriously enhances security and ultimately makes your entire system more flexible and way easier to maintain. So I'll leave you with a question to think about. What is the most complex, repetitive, pain-in-the-neck query in your own work? And how could you transform it into a simple, elegant view starting today? If this explainer helped you think about simplifying your own code, please do share it with a friend or a colleague who might find it useful. And be sure to subscribe for more deep dives into core tech concepts. Thanks for watching.